And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trent Bridge for the start of a three-day friendly match here. Pre-season match between Notts and the Loughborough University side. I can tell you that Nottinghamshire, with their skipper Stephen Mullaney, have won the toss and have elected to bat. So it's going to be Nottinghamshire's openers, Asiba Mead and Ben Slater, that we'll see out there first as the umpires make their way to the middle. Absolutely glorious to be back with you once again. Chilly, as you'd expect, end of March, but cricket is back with you. I know there was a few pre-season matches up and down the country last week, many of them curtailed by weather. Notts played a two-day behind closed doors match here against Derbyshire. The intensity, you'd imagine, will just step up a little bit in terms of what the players will be asked to do over the next 3 days, weather permitting. Looks to be okay today. Some showers around for days 2 and 3. Let's hope they'll leave us alone and we can get in a good chunk of cricket. So absolutely wonderful to be back at Trent Bridge. I'm Dave Bracegirdle, glad to have you with us with Loughborough in the field. Nottinghamshire have named an 11. Expect perhaps during the course of the game, particularly if we get a lot of cricket in over the 3 days, for there to be one or two changes, but Notts have gone with an 11 of Asiba Mead and Ben Slater, Joe Clark, Lyndon James, skipper Stephen Mullaney, Tom Moores, the wicket-keeper, Liam Patterson-White, and then four quicks, Brett Hutton, beg your pardon, Luke Fletcher, Ollie Stone and Jake Ball. Matthew Montgomery is actually playing for Loughborough students. I think he's still got a few exams to sit, so he's still a Loughborough University student. So he is in the Loughborough starting 11, which is led by skipper Joe McGregor, Ollie Meadows, James Croney, Matt Montgomery scheduled to bat at 4 when Loughborough get a chance. Their wicket-keepers Harry Galston, Gus Miller, Niels Priestley, Nathan Bowley, Harry Petrie, Max Harris and Max Luckett. Our umpires are Sue Redfern and James Middlebrook, and scorers for this one, Anne Cusworth is doing it for Notts, and notching for Loughborough University, Kevin Gerrard. All very, very welcome, as are you. If you want to get in touch at Brace Cricket on the old Twittery thing, we'll be glad to give you a mention. We're going to get underway. 96 overs per day, 3-day match, and it's going to be Max Harris to get things up and running, and he's right arm round the wicket to begin with to the left-handed Slater, who punches a low full toss to mid-on, and we are up and running in this game with a dot ball. The bowler Harris, 21 years of age, Londoner, has actually played a handful of white ball games for Middlesex, 4 in the Royal London and a couple of T20s. Here he is again, bowls on the pads of Slater. The first runs of this match are worked away behind square, and he's going to come back for a couple, so Notts up and running. Good morning to Kirsty and Aaron, our production team, and to Charlie, who's operating the main camera up here on the Radcliffe Road balcony. Different look from our commentary position as we glance over. We did have a view down the Loughborough Road away to our right, way towards the power station, but we can't see any of that now with the building works that have gone on over the winter. And again comes Harris to Slater, and again on the pads, and again worked away behind square for a single, and that takes Slater and Notts on to 3, and it will bring Asiba Mead down to the business end. Had a terrific year last year, of course, Asiba Mead, over 1,000 runs, and went away during the winter and captained the England Lions in Sri Lanka. Scored a 50 the other day against Derbyshire, and his first ball well wide of the off stump and goes through to the keeper. Couple of slips, gully point, extra cover and mid off, and on that short side, the Bridgeford Road side of the ground. Fairly standard mid-on, mid-wicket, and a fielder just behind square on the boundary. So it's a fairly short boundary over the wicket. This one's sliced away. Not a great deal of control there from the Notts opener, but it flashes away down to third man and goes away for 4. Signalled for 4 by Sue Redfern. Interesting. Now, I don't know if this is just for this game or it is something that we are now going to see in all our domestic cricket. Both umpires are wearing cameras. When we get a shot of them, you'll be able to detect a little black box on the front of their white umpire's coats. They're both wearing cameras. So if there's any disputes out there in the middle, it's not for DRS or anything like that, as Hamid plays a glorious shot through the offside and away for 4. And the over ends with back-to-back boundaries for Hamid. Notts on to 11. Hamid has 8, Slater has 3. I think it is for any of those moments that need to be referred to a disciplinary committee. I think the feeling is it would help if there was a little bit of footage of any misdemeanours. Hopefully there won't be any, but if you do see something on the front of the umpire's coat, it's those small cameras they're wearing. Going to be bowling for the first time from the pavilion end, and it's going to be Harry Petrie to share the new ball. Not quick scorers traditionally, or certainly have been over the last year or two, and they've got off to a fast start here. 11 on the board. Harry Petrie, another 20-year-old right arm fast medium bowler. High Wycombe born, played for England under-19s recently. Has represented Hampshire, won first class match for him. And, first ball down the leg side, angling down, nicely taken by the wicket keeper. And Notts remain on 11 without loss. Plenty of sunshine around, but a little chilly as the next one again down the leg side, and Ben Slater can't get anything on it. Pleased they didn't just glove it down that leg side. Ben Slater averaged just under 35 last year. Again down the leg side, nicely taken by Goulston. Just the 1 century, but that was a big one. A 225 not out, career best for Ben Slater. That was up at Durham fairly early on in the piece, shared in a big stand with Lyndon James. Over 6,500 first-class runs now. Next ball on the off stump, low full toss, punched into the offside. This Loughborough University, under the tutelage of their head coach Russell Cobb, former Leicestershire opener predominantly. Long and successful career with them. Just plays this out on the leg side, so it's been predominantly an over dominated by leg side deliveries by Harry Petrie, but 5 dots so far. A number of people have got in touch already this morning. Mike Brown tuning in from Guernsey, looking forward to getting across for matches this summer, as he often does. This one steered to backward point, and so a maiden for Petrie. Notts remain 11 without loss. I think Mike's coming for the first home match in a couple of weeks. That's against Somerset. The man who put the harm in pharmacy has been in touch. Outbrace Cricket, strong looking team today, Dave. You have to wonder who'll drop out when Ben Duckett is back. Hopefully Joe Clark can pick up some form. Great to see Jake Ball back as well. It is indeed. Matthew Montgomery, of course, played in the closing matches of last year when Duckett was away with England. Start of the third over of the morning. Hamid punches this to mid-off. There's no run. John Pinson's been in touch. It's all come around so quickly this year, as it always does. Yeah, it doesn't always seem like that, John, in the depths of winter, but as you get into March, I think we all very much look forward to returning to the cricket. Next ball driven crisply down the ground by Hamid, and that will race over the lush outfield and away for 4. So 3 boundaries in his first 4 deliveries from Asib Hamid takes him to 12, not to 15. Dom Topley's been in touch, the former Essex bowler who now commentates for BBC Essex, and he was looking forward to catching up with me this year down at Chelmsford, and then I had to point out that Notts don't go to Chelmsford this year. One of the oddities of that 10-team Division 1. You don't play all the teams at home and away. Next one is eased into the offside by Hamid, no run. And Graham Ward said on that same topic, considering it takes me just an hour to get to Chelmsford and 3 to get to Trent Bridge, an away trip to Essex was something he was very much looking forward to. Yes, it's a shame, and I don't know, is there any need for it? 18 teams, 2 divisions of 9 like we used to have. Everybody played everybody twice. Lovely, lovely. 16 matches. Comes Harris to Hamid. That's a good delivery. Just outside off. Did just a little bit. Good bounce. Good carry through to Golston. Best delivery that has been sent down so far this morning. Notts remained 15 without loss. Claire Jenkins pleased to see that Sue Redfern's out there, umpire Sue. She did one of the Royal London games last year for Notts. I think that's the only time she's umpired Nottinghamshire first team cricket. He leaves this one alone to go through to the keeper. Mandy Clark, one of our regulars, been in touch. Morning, Mandy. Challenging conditions to bat in today. Everybody have fun out there. Also, good to hear from Tim Sanders. Hope the winter's been kind to you, Dave. Looking forward to following the live stream from the Home Office all throughout the summer. Hope it's coming through loud and clear for everybody. Next one's pushed into the offside. Thankfully, perhaps shouldn't say this at the start of a game. Thankfully, we didn't have very many gremlins here last year. Excellent pictures provided by the camera team and the production team, as you'll no doubt be aware as we go round the country. We do have 1 or 2 challenging venues to go to where the quality isn't always as we'd want, but let's hope that there have been certain improvements in 1 or 2 grounds this year. So Ben Slater back on strike, 3 from 9 balls faced for the left-hander. Harry Petrie with 3 slips. Bowls, and Slater eases it into the offside. Matthew Montgomery actually at 2nd slip, wearing number 32. Big 170 odd for Monty. The last match of last year against Durham. That game where Notts racked up over 660 before declaring, with 4 Centurions in the lineup, and then went on to bowl Durham out in front of a very good crowd here at Trent Bridge, who witnessed Stephen Mullaney lifting the trophy. Next ball pushed nicely by Slater to the covers, no run. Kath Bentley's been in touch. Damn work So close yet so far. Centre map, she's working. Is that just 34 minutes away, her map says. She's 34 minutes away from Trent Bridge, but she's got to work today. Mandy's been back. Come on, lads, let's have some fun this season. Enjoy the cricket, have a laugh, but also work really hard, stay focused. Talent aplenty, let's show them. 15 without loss, good ball. Past Slater's outside edge. Notts back in Division 1, of course, after comfortably winning Division 2 last year. Came up with Middlesex, who they will play in the early weeks of the season. The first 3 matches are back-to-back for Notts, starting next Thursday, 10 days' time, down at the Ageas Bowl against Hampshire. A week after, the first home game against Somerset, and then down to Lords against Middlesex. Lovely to have your company. BBC Radio Nottingham, and obviously via the live streams for those matches. 15 without loss. Next ball pulled away by Slater, down to long leg, and the fielder down there was very interested for a moment, and it's gone all the way for 6. So the first run's off Petrie, banged it in short. Max Harris was down there on that short long leg boundary, and he was just circling underneath it, getting his hands ready. But then the ball sailed over him and away for 6. Hedley Harrison says, love this time of year when the cricket restarts. Next ball incoming, and Slater will get a couple, I fancy, pushing this into the gaps on the offside. Runs hard, but there's only going to be 2. The fielder out there is Ollie Meadows. Liz Mitchell. Oh, it's so good to hear your voice again, Dave. Live stream and comms and the county teams back in action. Spring is truly here. Thanks very much, Liz. Thanks for getting in touch at Brace Cricket. If you want to get in touch. Have you wintered well, says Dan. Have you wintered well? 23 without loss. Next ball past Slater, goes through to the keeper, and Dan says, really do think we need the commentary camp this season at Trent Bridge. Please don't, Dan. We had it for 1 or 2 games last year when we had some very special guests. So we'll be able to do that again this season. I know the committee very often invite former players and distinguished guests into the committee room to join them for the home games, and very kindly we seek their permission to get them up here for half an hour or so in the afternoon. And I know they bring the commentary cam in when we do get some guests. Actually done 1 or 2, you might have heard, 1 or 2 Notts County games during the winter, and they do it. This one past to Mead, through to the keeper. See me shouting and screaming and wailing as we did on Saturday, as Notts County racked up a win there. A couple of goals for Macaulay Langstaff. 23 without loss. This really has been a splendid opening pairing for Nottinghamshire for the last 3 years, and more runs here for Hamid. Drives it into the offside, and he's only dealing in 4s this year, it seems. See Hamid on to 16, and that's with 4 boundaries, faced 11 balls. You think back 3 years, or just under 3 years, when that COVID season started at the beginning of August of 2020, and Ben Slater was allowed to go off to join Leicestershire on loan. Scored big runs on his Leicestershire debut. Came back, and it's been this pair ever since. 1 or 2 brief moments when Hamid was away with England a couple of years ago. Runs this down into the gully, no run. Ben Compton got a couple of games, you may remember. Compton away with Kent now. He had a very good season last year, didn't he, Ben Compton? Ben Duckett not playing in this one. So Joe Clark listed to come in at 3. I understand Ben Duckett is available for the start of the county championship year. Of course, very much now an opening batter with England. Had a successful time of it across the different formats through the winter with England, and in Test cricket got that much cherished first Test century under his belt in Rawalpindi against Pakistan. This one's very wide and stretched by Sue Redfern to signal a wide, stretching those arms out. First extra of the contest. 28 without loss, Nottinghamshire. Stephen Mullaney winning the toss out there before the start. It's a 2-hour morning session. The match will be pretty much along county championship guidelines in terms of the timing. Next ball run to backward point and there's no run. It will be a 2-hour morning session. So lunch at 1 or 1 till 1:40. But tea will be taken when 32 overs remain in the day, or when 64 overs are bowled, and stumps will be after 96 overs or 6 o'clock, whichever is later. Hamid on 16. Harris bowls to the Bolton-born right-hander, who pushes this one to mid-on. End of the over, 28 without loss. We've had 5 overs here at Trent Bridge, the start of this pre-season friendly, and as you can see there from the camera up on high, respectable number of spectators have popped in to say hello, mainly in front of the pavilion and the Hound Road stand. I don't know if the other stands are open, possibly not. Possibly not. Is there anybody up here? No, can't see anybody. I think they're just using the pavilion and the Hound Road stand for this one. Usually do get 1 or 2 venture into their favourite areas if all the ground is open. There's Petrie to start his 3rd over. Began with a maiden, was hit for 6 in the last over and a 2, and now he's conceded a boundary as Slater works this one to that short side. And Nottinghamshire 32 without loss at the start of the 6th over. Ben Slater and Asib Hamid building the foundations for what Notts will hope is a decent day with the bat. Obviously these matches not hugely important in terms of results, but the players do look to get a little bit out of it. James Middlebrook, the umpire at the far end, has been urged to go down there and move somebody or something out of the way. We've got a temporary tarpaulin up as a sight screen between the pavilion and in front of the Batman board. Maybe that somebody on the Loughborough balcony, the lower balcony of the pavilion, yeah, just been asked just to move along, just in Ben Slater's eye line, because Petrie round the wicket will be coming out of the pavilion. Maybe just distracting Ben Slater. 32 without loss, 3 slips away, but Slater solidly eases this away and there's no run. First slip there is Joe McGregor, the Loughborough University skipper this year. Played in this match a year ago. Matthew Montgomery at 2nd slip, and alongside him at 3rd slip is Gus Miller. Next one, run to backward point, and there's no run. Many of the county sides are stepping up their pre-season work this week with warm-up matches. A lot playing against university sides today, 1 or 2 playing against each other. 2 first-class counties. Next ball again meets the full face of Ben Slater's bat, pushes it into the cover region where Niels Priestley does the fielding. Loughborough University side in their familiar and traditional purple caps. If you see the Loughborough Sporting side, generally be in the purple, whether it's football, whether it's the Loughborough Lightning cricket team, of course, now rebranded as the Blaze and based here at Trent Bridge. Lovely to see many of the squad last week here at the media day. A little bit of watery sunshine now. Trent Bridge looking a picture, as it always does. 32 on the board. Ben Slater has 15, and the left-hander tickles this down to long leg. He'll move on to 16. And we'll keep the strike. That's the end of the 6th over. Petrie 3 overs, none for 13. That's a maiden. Also been hit for a 6 and a 4. And Max Harris, who's about to begin his 4th over, his 3 overs, none for 20. Just moving his bowling mark there a little bit. He's looked up and seen that he's got Ben Slater down that end, so he's going to be going round the wicket again. Well, Slater's got a boundary, but would go very firmly in the draw, marked a touch fortunate. He was looking to work that to leg and got an outside edge that went very quickly along the ground and through backward point for 4. Went to the short boundary, but it was a slightly false shot from Ben, but he reaps the rewards, moves on to 20, and Nottinghamshire 37 without loss here on this Monday morning, chilly old Monday morning at the end of March. Next delivery pushed into the offside. Slightly warmer commentating on Notts 12 years ago today, 27th of March 2011. It was the start of the champion county game against the MCC in Abu Dhabi. Day-night game. It was nicely warm, as you'd expect. Notts beaten by MCC. They were the victims of going to bat at that twilight period against a pink ball, as Slater throws the bat at that one. It goes through to the keeper. A couple of the Notts contingent in today's side made their first-class debuts in that match 12 years ago today. Both Jake Ball and Brett Hutton featured in that match against the MCC 12 years ago today. Good to see Jake Ball back fit and well. Had a natter to him at media day last week. Very much looks forward to playing a full and active role for Notts this season. Single taken by Slater moves him on to 21, 38 without loss. The Notts 11 named for the start of this game, in case you didn't hear it. These two obviously are Seba Mead and Ben Slater, Joe Clark, Lyndon James, Stephen Mullaney, Tom Moores, Liam Patterson-White, the spinner listed at 7, and then the 4 quicks, Brett Hutton, Luke Fletcher, Ollie Stone, the newcomer, and Jake Ball. This one's pushed into the offside by Hamid, and that's his first single to take him to 17. That's after 4 boundaries. Has to do a little bit of running. 39 without loss. Matthew Montgomery is playing, but he's in the Loughborough side. And, understand if the weather holds and we do get second and third days, there is the contingency for the sides just to bring a player in or out. Understand Dane Schardendorf might do a little bit of wicket keeping. 39 without loss. Slater on 21, punches this firmly to mid-on, and there's no run. That's the end of the 7th over. Slater 21, Hamid has 17. Dave Palmer's been in touch. Welcome back, Dave, he says. I was going to introduce myself on Saturday, but you were busy preparing for the Notts County commentary. Nice to see Sue Redfern officiating. Yeah, good. Next time, Dave. Yeah. Lovely to hear from you. My word, County put on a show. Play Altrincham tomorrow. Forest have been on a bit of a break to the international fixtures. They play Wolves on Saturday, and Mansfield Town play Crawley. There we are, that's the only football I'll mention today. Is this a bowling change or just the skipper tinkering with the field? I think it is still going to be Harry Petrie from the pavilion end. 39 without loss, just 2 slips now. Captain's gone into the offside just to reinforce that cover area, and Hamid obliges by playing it straight to Joe McGregor. Going for almost half an hour. Stephen Mullaney winning the toss. Always get the suspicion with these matches, and it's borne up by watching a lot of them over the years, that the first class side would have batted first in any case. That's a no ball that Hamid has punched down the ground for a single. James Middlebrook, the umpire, signals to our scorers, and Cosworth and Kevin Gerrard. And as with the county championship, a no ball counts for 2. So extras moves on to 3. 42 without loss. Hamid has 18. Ben Slater has 21. Nice clear graphics on the screen. Without loss. Next one round the wicket. Nice looking shot by Slater. Got plenty on that. It's going to take some fielding right by the rope. It's a decent bit of fielding out there by Raymond Bailey. I think it's Bailey. Couple of runs. 44 without loss. This one's pushed into the offside. Many of you will have seen pictures from the media day last Wednesday, when all the players got together for their annual chat with the press and with the photographers, the camera crews and what have you. You'll have seen that lots have changed slightly their white ball strips 44 without loss as Slater lets this go through to wicketkeeper Goldstone. The Royal London green now has bands across it, hoops I suppose is the technical term. The gold hoops, so that's a change. Haven't done that before, so the green one-day strip remains, but there are gold hoops across the chest. And for the T20, again, lots of stuck with the predominantly gold shirts and green bottoms as this one goes through to the keeper, but the shirts now have a diagonal sash. You think of the old Peru strip. I saw a number of people referring to that. Peru, footballers always have the diagonal sash. I think one or two clubs have done it. Not too prevalent in cricket, but the shirts are now available via the club shop, either in person if you come into the ground or online. Have a look. But very nice indeed. Next one has beaten Slater outside the off stump here to end the 8th over. 44 without loss. Harris has bowled 4 overs for 26. Petrie now through his 4th over, none for 18. Thanks, Mandy. Great to have the cricket back. Have a great season, everybody. 44 without loss. Lots have got off to the sort of start they'd have been hoping for. It's the last thing you want, really, an opportunity. Who knows how much cricket they'll get between now and the first ball to be bowled at the Ageas Bowl next week. So you want to make every opportunity. There's going to be the first bowling change of the day, and Gus Miller is going to come on at this Radcliffe Road end, going to replace Max Harris. Miller, another right arm, medium fast bowler, 21 years of age, Oxford born, comes in, bowls a delivery that sits up outside the off stump, and it's punched away for a single by Hamid. Had to stretch a long way for that one, and when he gets down to the non-striker's end, he rehearses the shot a couple of times. Bowler Gus Miller, he's played some minor counties cricket for Bedfordshire over the last couple of years, and he's had a brief introduction to the county scene with a few fixtures for Northants, 4 matches in the Royal London One Day Cup and 1 T20 appearance. He's in again and bowls, and that's just doubled Slater up. Might have got him in the stomach. 45 without loss. Miller played in this year's match and got in the runs for Loughborough. 45 not out he made in that fixture a year ago. First change here. Shocker blonde hair. He's back at the end of his mark, just waiting for Ben Slater just to get himself ready again after that one. Grateful for the team, for Michael Golder and this terrific troop of largely volunteers that have put together the Nottinghamshire Cricket Annual once again, the Nottingham Cricket Lovers Society. Let's push back to the bowler. The new annual is out. Ben Duckett clipping in orthodox manner on the leg side in There's white Nottinghamshire kit on the cover. There's also a cover photo of the Division 2 trophy that Notts won last year. It's now available from reception here at Trent Bridge, and I'm sure the club shop will have copies, but the absolute Bible for Nottinghamshire followers and cricket lovers, supporters, everything you want to know about Nottinghamshire and the county game and the players, and one or two of the behind scenes personalities. Decent delivery there from Miller. Slater unable to get him away. It's priced at £7, the Nottinghamshire Cricket Annual, out now. Some really lovely photographs in there of action from last year. There's colour photos of the entire squad for the younger members predominantly. I won't necessarily say it's confined to the younger members, because I know there are some people of all ages who like to collect autographs, and this one's, I think, just come back on the angle and struck Slater on the pad. Might have been some bat involved, but that's a decent over, a decent start from Miller. Just went for a single, and that's 45 without loss. But yes, there's an area for you to get the photographs of your favourites. There's a comprehensive match report from every game of last year. Fixtures and stats and records. Some bits and bobs about various age groups. Both the youngsters and the seniors. The women's side of the game. And the local leagues all around Nottinghamshire have all got some coverage as well. Last year's tables and the stats really has been beautifully put together, as it always is, and an essential part of your season. The Nottinghamshire Cricket Annual out now. It's £7 as Ameed punches this to mid-on. 45 without loss. There's even a photograph of yours truly in a tent at Blackpool last year, alongside Colin Frey. But don't let that put you off. But no, there's some really lovely photographs in there, some lovely features indeed, and you'll get hours and hours and hours of reading for your £7, as I already have enjoyed. As Ameed tries to chop this away, and he did me there. He often will just guide this down to third man, and I was just looking to follow the ball over the outfield down for another Ameed boundary, but it just bottom edged it down into the ground, didn't go anywhere. So you can imagine the bulk of the players selected for this one for Nottinghamshire, as Ameed this time does get some bat on it, guides it to backward point. Will, injuries permitting, and crikey, let's hope there aren't any of those, will form the basis, the backbone of the squad for next week's opener down at the Ageas Bowl. Not entirely sure when Dane Patterson gets here. Don't think Stuart Broad will be involved for the first match or two. Certainly might have seen him involved here, having a bit of a bowl. This is a nice looking shot from Slater, well fielded in the covers. I think that's Priestley again, who's made an early impression. It was good stop from him, no run. So still just over a week away, 10 days or so away, 9-10 days away. You'd imagine the Notts will be something along the 11 they've named here for this one, plus Duckett, plus Monty maybe. Something of that order. 46 without loss. Next ball beats Slater, goes through to the keeper. And depending on when Dane Patterson arrives and what he looks like. Of course, there's another match Thursday and Friday scheduled for Grace Road at Leicester on Thursday and Friday. Another opportunity, but as I mentioned already a time or two, the weather forecast not great for this week across the entire country, let alone the East Midlands. Petrie has now concluded his 5th over. On for 19. Might just be coming towards the end of his first burst. Notts a 46 without loss. Been playing for 40 minutes here at Trent Bridge. We've had 10 overs. Ben Slater has 23. Asiba Mead has 20. So the Nottinghamshire Cricket Annual wanted to draw your attention to. Have a look out for that next time you're on the ground. 46 without loss as the 11th over begins. Miller's second. Lots of other publications running their pre-season thoughts and previews. Just picked up this morning actually the April edition of the Cricketer. This one goes through to the keeper, the one with the wall chart. Might have a little look at that later on, and I'll see what they've got to say. Don't think there's any spoilers. On the front cover, Lancashire are the team to beat. 2023 county preview. Well, are they? I don't know. Interesting to hear your thoughts. I think last year's winners Surrey will remain a contender. And I mean, has he played on there? Chopped it down into the ground. Just couldn't quite see because he turned round quickly, and there was almost a dropping of the shoulders in disappointment from Hamid. But either the ball didn't roll onto the stumps, or he was very grateful that it did roll onto the stumps and not dislodge a bail. First moment of anxiety for Asiba Mead there. One or two that he's trying to cut away and been a little close to him. And he does this time, but it's nicely stopped at first slip. And there's no run. Hamid, 26 years of age now. He was 26 in January when he was away with England Lions in Sri Lanka, the captain. Saw him skipper knots in the Royal London last year, something he very much enjoyed. Over 100 first-class matches now. 12 centuries, averages top side of 35 in the Championship, but that really has come on in leaps and bounds over the last couple of years. He takes another single. Last year, 1,235 runs at 58.8 with 4 centuries and that top score of 196 at Derby when he and Ben Duckett put 400 on, and that hottest day of the year. If you're ever going to feel sorry for the Derbyshire seam attack, that might have been the day as Hamid and Duckett put 400 on together in sweltering conditions. Slater has 23. Now has 24 as he just nibbles at that one outside. His off peg guides it away on the angle on the 45 for a single. It's 48 without loss. Hamid just starting his 4th season with Notts. Made his debut in that shortened season of 2020, the Bob Willis Trophy season. Just 5 matches were played. Slater came in the back end of the 2018 campaign. He's on 24, he's on strike, and again he's pulled vigorously to leg, but didn't get any elevation on that one. Just guides it down to long leg for a single. 49 without loss. See a crane moving away to our right. Can't see much at all, as I say now, as we look over the William Clark stand. A real disappointment as sheeting up and scaffolding, and inside the shell of what we understand would be residential accommodation. So certainly a different view from the commentary box. In times when we say, oh look, what's out there at the traffic lights, and look what's coming up the Loughborough Road, or traffic's light today, or traffic's heavy today, or whatever it may be. But those days have gone. This one goes through to the keeper. A little bit in best Henry Blofeld. Often on quieter days, always a grey double-decker bus or a green double-decker bus, or whatever it may be, but a view totally obscured now. Top side of the William Clark stand. Notts require 1 for 50. That's going to elicit an LBW shout, but it might also elicit the first leg bye of the match. It does. And that takes Notts on to 50, brought up in the 12th over. First wicket partnership of 50 has come from 72 balls between Ben Slater and Asiba Mead. Mead 21 from 31, Slater 24 from 41. Petrie round the wicket, and well, like Nottingham buses, you wait into the 12th over for a leg bye, and then you get 2 in 2 balls. Man down here at long leg, I think, is Harris, having to do the long legging from one side to the other and then back again. At Brace Cricket, if you want to get in touch. Mead has 21, and he left his crease there, and an expansive looking drive from Mead. Got nothing on it. Not necessarily a shot that you'd hope to be seeing him play in the first over down at the Ageas Bowl a week on Thursday, but he obviously fancied it was a fairly risk-free opportunity to advance his score, but didn't get bat on ball. 51 without loss. Not entirely sure that's entirely his natural colour there on the screen. Gus Miller's hair, I think, might have been a little bit of the old DIY. Just to freshen up those blonde locks, he's going to come in round the wicket past umpire Sue Redfern's right shoulder, and we're going to get another leg bye. .52 without loss. So Notts begin their county championship campaign down at Hampshire. Been a tough place to go in recent years. Last time Notts won was 2010 down there. Mott War century. Good runs from Hashim Amla getting Notts home on the last day, as this is pushed by Mead back to the bowler. Ironically, 2 years ago, 2021, had they won down there, they would have been county champions, you may remember, but a combination of Keith Barker's pace running through Notts in the first innings, and then was it Mason Crane, I think, who might have been Liam Dawson as well, but certainly spin took over in the second innings, and Notts were bundled to defeat. There's a no ball called here by umpire Redfern against Miller, and Mead chops it down to third man, so there'll be 3 runs there. Matt's been in touch. Hi Dave, great to have you and Notts back on my second screen, hoping to catch some cricket in the flesh this afternoon. have a great season. Thanks very much to Matt Triggs, who's been in touch. 55 without loss. Slater and Hamid enjoying themselves. Oh, and another one that struck the pad, eliciting quietly confident appeal from bowler and keeper, but a shake of the head from our official. Fairly gloomy overhead, can't see any blue sky as Slater in short sleeves, as is Asib Hamid, blocks this. Fairly chilly to sit out there watching, and many of the spectators wrapped up warm, got the top coats on, maybe even one or two with the gloves and the blanket over the knee, as Slater drives crisply up to mid-off, and there's no run there. But, a chilly old day, but that still doesn't stop them. Quite right too, coming along and enjoying their first glimpse of cricket in the flesh in 2023. Didn't wish you a happy new year. Sure when's the latest you can do that, but it's the first time that a lot of folks will have got together and had a bit of a catch-up and a natter over front of the pavilion in the Hound Road stand. A lot of people taking their regular seats as the 13th over comes to an end. Notts 55 without loss, still going along at more than 4 runs and over. Ben Slater has 24, Asib Hamid has 22. Nottinghamshire winning the toss, opting to bat first against the Loughborough University students. A fixture that's no longer first class. I think this is the third or fourth year now that these fixtures haven't had the first class status. It's always a cross-section of views on whether they should have been first class games or not. This one's dropped on the leg side. They take a sharp single. Hamid moves on to 23. I think the players that cashed in, the batters that got runs, the bowlers that got wickets, always enjoyed seeing first class status to the game. And of course, very often for the university students, for many of them, it was an opportunity to say they'd become a first class cricketer. Very often it was their first taste, their introduction to the first class game. Edged short of Montgomery, who can catch pigeons, as we saw last year. Terrific catcher wherever he is, Matthew Montgomery, often in the slip cordon. He was the lead catcher, I think, if memory serves, with 10 in the Royal London One Day Cup competition last year. If it was edged, Montgomery caught it. Although, saying that, realise that probably puts the mockers on him, but no, he really is an excellent slip catcher. He's in there at second. Slater drives up to mid-off, and there's no run as the sun just peeps through for a moment. Lunch at 1. Afternoon session will be 3:40 until 64 overs have been bowled, so they'll take that possibly after the schedule of 20 to 4. Another single to Ben Slater, who's now got a quarter century from 50 balls faced, 25 from 50 balls faced. Hamid 23 from just 34. seen as much of the strike as the left-hander. Mead again, just happy to defend. In the runs against Derbyshire the other day, a half-century. Again, he leaves his crease a little bit and withdraws his bat inside the line as it goes through to Golston. Petrie now 7 overs, 2 maidens, none for 21. Taking his sweater from umpire Middlebrook. Joe McGregor, the Loughborough skipper, was down there, had a word. Let's have a look at Petrie as he goes to the boundary edges. Big sweater on the boundary rope. No, he's not popped that on, so he may be having another over. That's a lovely looking shot, stylish boundary through the cover region from Ben Slater to move on to 29, and that one was unstoppable as it raced away over the rope and managed to find a temporary housing in one of the tarpaulins that have been laid to rest there. .61 on the board for Nottinghamshire. Another single here taken, so going up more than a run a minute. We're not quite at midday yet, 2 or 3 minutes away. 62 this opening partnership. Joe Clark down to come in at 3. Had a winter behind the sticks, seemingly, whenever I saw him. Played in the Big Bash, of course, for Melbourne Stars. Had the gloves on. 1 or 2 other franchise appointments in the Middle East. Used as a wicket keeper. Lyndon James, after a terrific season last year, he's doing at 4. He went away with the Lions, didn't actually play in 2 of the official first-class matches. Mead was the skipper for that one. Chops this down to 3rd man. Mead and Liam Patterson-White played in the 2 first-class matches on the tour. But I spoke to Lyndon the other day, very much enjoyed the experience. Not skipper Stephen Mullaney, who just finished shy of 1,000 first-class runs, is listed to come in at 5. I think he got 993 runs last season at an average well in excess of 50. This one round the wicket and 4 more to Slater. That really is an invitation just to guide it into the gap and help yourself to 4 runs. Just sat up outside the off stump and cleanly, almost effortlessly put away. That's not to take anything away from Ben Slater saying it was effortless. It was textbook shot, square of the wicket, flashed away, and Notts are on to 67. Most prolonged passage of sunshine we've had this morning. That might be 4 more. Lifted it a little uppishly. Did it go all the way? Just have a little look. Sue Redfern's just asking the fielder out there. It clattered into the advertising board, which is 3 or 4 feet beyond the rope, and it clattered into that board on the full. So Slater's got a second boundary. This one through the offside, and he's on to 40, and it's 73 without loss. And that was an expensive end to Gus Miller's 4th over. 4 overs, none for 22. Tom Moore's listed to come in at 6 in this match. Liam Patterson-White at 7. And Brett Hutt and Luke Fletcher, whose testimonial year it is. Everybody wishing Luke well. He's had a couple of events, a formal dinner hosted by Graham Swan, and then a members' lunch a couple of weeks ago. Both events well attended and generally, I think, well received. This one's driven to mid-off. There are some testimonial items of merchandise you can get for Luke. T-shirts and the tie. Some nice pin badges as well. Not sure if the brochure's ready yet, but looking forward to seeing that as soon as it is. 73 without loss the score here. Next ball wide of the off stump through to the keeper. Had a good chat with Ollie Stone at the media day last week. Very much looking forward to getting going. Talked me through his tale of woe over the last couple of years, really, with stress fracture, had surgery, a couple of pins in his back, but pleased to be back fit and well and healthy, and back in the England ranks as well. This one's been edged by Hamid, bounced in front of the slip cordon, got away there from Joe McGregor. They take a single, 74 without loss. It's Ollie Stone. He tried to make a comeback last year after his lengthy time out with surgery, and his comeback was for Warwickshire seconds against Notts seconds at Lady Bay, and he broke a finger. Next one's pushed up to mid-on, so that ended his season, and so that was the same week in August that he actually signed for Notts. Actually been wooed by the club, always enjoyed playing here, obviously knows a lot of the Nottinghamshire personnel. Ben Duckett, somebody that he almost grew up with playing cricket in the junior ranks at Northants, known him a long time. Next one's run into the onside, no run, so another big, tall, fast, blonde England fast bowler, but good to see him back playing for England in the winter. Some white ball games, played in the South African T20 competition as well, and yeah, really cranked up the old speed gun, so we're looking forward to seeing what he can do. Also Jake Ball, as I mentioned earlier, good to have him back fit and well. Next delivery is deflected behind square. I think it was bat. I wasn't looking at the screen, I was looking out the window there. It might have been pad, but no, it was bat. 75 without loss. See, Hampshire are in pre-season action today at the Ageas Bowl, so they're looking forward, no doubt, to being ready to face Notts next week. Just try and see you there. Playing? Are they playing against Gloucestershire? Playing against Gloucestershire. Try and have a little look at that later on, see what's happening. 75 without loss. There's Miller, who was hit away for a 4 and a 6 at the end of the previous over. Ball's a dot ball to Ben Slater. See, Luke Fletcher's having a bit of a stretch of the legs, wandering round the boundary. Way to our right. It's a good delivery from Miller, defended by Slater. This is the 17th over. Just the 3 bowlers used. Harris had 4 overs. Miller has replaced him at this end. He's into his 5th. Petrie has got through 8 overs. Slater on 41. Slater on 45. Ball wasted no time there in racing over the outfield and away for 4. So Loughborough University just trying to give the bowler some protection there now at the expense of a slip, just one slip, but a man out on the offside boundary. Slater runs this to backward point and there's no run. It remains 79 without loss. In case you're out and about over the next day or two, there's no online commentary for this one, but once again the BBC up and down the country will be covering all the domestic matches. Sharply taken single there. Now, many of you do like to, and understandably I'm the same, do like to follow the live streams, watch the pictures, but when you can't, the next best thing is to, perhaps shouldn't say that, but the alternative, if you can't see the pictures, is to listen to the commentary, and the BBC once again have got the commentary rights for this season for all the matches. So I'm looking forward to catching up with one or two established names up and down the country. Kevin James, I'm sure, will be the amiable host down at the Ageas Bowl next week. 81 without loss. Still one or two sides that don't take the BBC commentary, so mark your card for that. Let's go to Middlesex. The third match. I know they don't take the BBC commentary, they do their own. There's a bowling change. It's going to be Ramon Bailey who's going to bowl. He wasn't in the original 11, he's in the 12, and as I said earlier, both sides are going to be bringing players in and out. We have seen Bailey on the field doing a bit of fielding. Let's hear from Outlaw Chris. Enjoy your season, Chris. Come on, me lucky lads, he says. So a left armour. Sorry, M-O-N, I think Ramon. I heard one of the guys there just shout, come on Raymond. So maybe Raymond, but left arm fast medium bowler. First delivery, strikes a mead on the pad, and it's run away for 4 leg byes. Somehow found a gap between the keeper and the slip cordon. They were appealing, but umpire Middlebrook instead gives them no reward and gives Notts the 4 leg byes. Interesting start though from Bailey from the pavilion end. Mead on 26, Ben Slater on 46. He's in again, and this one driven into the offside, and that's another good bit of fielding by Priestley. Not for all the world as if Mead had threaded on through that offside towards that short boundary, but a good bit of fielding. 85 without loss. We're in the 18th over. This time Mead will take the single. To move it on to 86 now without loss. left armer to left-hander for the first time this morning. Slater, a boundary away from a half century, has a look around. There's 2 out on the leg side fence. Instead he just runs it away through the gully backward point region for his 47th run. It's one orthodox slip in the skipper there, Joe McGregor, hands in his pockets next to wicket-keeper Harry Galston, and Matthew Montgomery's just out of shot there. He's almost at 3rd slip, but a lot closer than the normal 3rd slipper. Mead digs this out, full pitch delivery on leg stump, plays it up to mid-on, and Bailey's over ends with 2 from the bat. Those 4 leg buys from the first ball, and as we inch towards 12:15, 87 without loss. Notts winning the toss and looking to have a plentiful day with the bat. Another bowling change as Miller comes out of the attack. He'll be replaced by Max Luckett. Played actually 1 match for Notts seconds last year. Very early on, it was soon after the fixture here where he impressed for Loughborough University. Yeah, Notts took both him and the skipper Joe McGregor up to Southport for a match, Notts 2s against Lancashire 2s. It's also played for Kent seconds and Derbyshire seconds. The right arm medium pace and starts with a delivery to Slater down the leg side. Actually made his first class debut for Kent in a match against the Sri Lankan development 11. He didn't bat, but did pick up a couple of wickets. Just 20. Dartford born. Where's squad number 18? It's in again to Ben Slater. Gets another one on his pads, which this time he controls away nicely for his 48th run. A little bit of discussion going on about the field that Max Luckett wants for Asiba Mead. 4 on the leg side now, that short side. Ball's outside the off stump and favoured shot from Hamid, cuts it away and gets a single, and it's 89 without loss. Crowd, and I'm guessing here without counting, probably top side of 100, but maybe no more than 150 in. Might be a few we can't see inside the pavilion, stayed in there looking through the glass, and the same in the Derek Randall suite. Maybe there's numbers in there, but the hardy souls sat outside. Slater runs this one away and he's going to reach his 50 with a nicely controlled run down towards third man. That's very well played for Ben Slater to move to a half century. Brought it up in 77 minutes. He's faced 66 balls and he's hit 6 fours and 2 sixes. .93 without loss. Next one is squaring him up a little bit. Just the outside edge, gets a single. Mead throws his bat at that one and he's going to get a boundary. End of the over. So Mead on to 32, 98 without loss after 19 overs. Nice to hear from Graham Rowley, another of our regulars. Morning, Dave, from a currently sunny Isle of Wight. Welcome back. Hope you wintered well. Hoping for a good season back in the top division. Thank you, Graham. Best wishes to you and yours. The Isle of Wight, there's a wicket. Slater is bowled comprehensively by Bailey just after reaching his half century. Lovely bit of bowling through the defences of Ben Slater. And in the 20th over, Loughborough University get their first breakthrough. Ben Slater bowled by Bailey for 53, faced 68 deliveries. And it's 98 for 1. Bailey started very nicely indeed. Couple of testing deliveries in the previous over. Now strikes the pegs. Generous round of applause for Ben Slater. And he's going to be replaced by Joe Clark. .26 now. Shrewsbury-born right-hander. Last year, 682 runs at an average of 36. Didn't make a century, just a top score of 95 down at Sophia Gardens against Glamorgan, 5 half centuries. First-class hundreds, but they've been thin on the ground over the last couple of years for a player of his immense talent. Nice to see him really packing a punch there in the middle order, and getting the volume of runs that he did in his peak years at Worcestershire. Comes in with a healthy platform. 98 runs on the board. And around 40 minutes to go until lunch. So Bailey in to Joe Clark. Again, looking to get on the front foot and play an expansive drive, and inside edges it onto his pad. Ben Slater out for 53 from 68 balls faced. 6 fours and 2 sixes. Bailey to Clark, works it to mid-wicket, no run. Just got the opportunity for one innings last week in the match here against Derbyshire, made a run of ball 30 odd. Bailey to bowl to him, wide of off stump. In fact, so far wide it's called as such by James Middlebrook. Not a lot of leeway given there by the umpire. Again, if you weren't with us earlier on, and you can see on the umpires' coats as and when they come into shot on your live stream pictures, you will see what looks like a black square on the front of the umpires' coats. It's a camera, and something they're going to be wearing this year, the umpires. Good delivery goes through Clark. It's a good job for the keeper, he didn't nick it, because it was put down. There will be some camera footage taken by the umpires. There you are, you can see clearly on James Middlebrook, the same with Sue Redfern, but that's going to be a familiar sight, the umpires wearing a camera out there, just to aid really everybody, just in case there's any discrepancies later on. It's not, I should hesitate, it's not going to be used in sort of a DRS manner. It's not going to be used for things like did he nick it or didn't he nick it. It may well be used in the event of unseemly things on a cricket field, shall we say, that we don't want to be reporting on. And it doesn't happen too often, to be fair, but Clark defends that should things come to a head and things get reported for disciplinary reasons, if they've got a bit of camera footage, you know, there's going to be no dispute really if he said, she said, it said, whatever. But maybe we'll start seeing that a little more. There are some changes, amendments to the playing schedules in the county championship this year. You may be aware that draws have carried 8 points over the last however many years. Draws are now going to be worth 5 points each, 16 for the win, 5 for the draw. As a new over starts, and Mead drops his shoulder, lets the ball go through to the keeper, 99 for 1. So a draw for a side, not as imperative as it has been. I'd like the odd 8 points for a draw, but don't know, maybe just some sides on the last afternoons might not be as willing to stick around to try and battle through for 5 draw points. There was certainly more intent in doing that, and I'm thinking towards perhaps the lower regions of Division 2 rather than anywhere else, as the 100 is brought up with a punch out into the offside by Hamid. 100 coming up after 20.2 overs. Bonus points, bowling bonus points stay the same. You can get a maximum of 3 in 110 overs. 1 for 3 wickets taken, 1 for 6 wickets taken, and the last one when you get your 9th wicket. But there is a change to the batting bonus points. Just watch Joe Clark here as Max Luckett comes in to bowl to him, driven firmly up to mid-off. No run. Nice looking shot from Clark there. Thoroughly merited runs, but didn't get any thanks to a pretty decent spalling stop from Nathan Bowley. Bonus points have been over the last few years for reaching 200, then so on, 200, 250, 300, 350 and 400. In again comes Luckett. Clark leaves it alone. This year you don't get a bonus point until you reach 250, so it's the same 110 overs, but bonus points are 250, 300, 350, 400 and 450, and yes, expect it to be more challenging in Division 1 than it was in Division 2, but not score their runs at such a lick traditionally that they are one of the sides you'd imagine will benefit from the opportunity of getting up to 450 as and when they can. Some sides struggle to get to 300 or 350 in 110 overs. 100 for 1 here. So Notts going along at just a whisker under 5 and over on this first day of 3 against the Loughborough University side. Nice to hear from Bob as this one's defended. The Coventry Pie. Welcome back to your happy place, Dave. Yep, always nice to come back into the commentary box and get going again for a new season. Popped in a couple of times recently. I was at the Luke Fletcher lunch 2 or 3 weeks ago for his testimonial lunch, and then last week for the media day. That's the only time this winter. Very often in the past I've popped in for this or t'other, but no, last time before then was September afternoon, end of last season, when Notts finally clinched the Division 2 title, 100 for 1 against Durham. Sharing it with my old pal Martin Emerson, who I think it's fair to say was pretty despondent and glad that the Durham season ended there and then. It didn't go well for the side from the northeast, who again will be challenged to get out of Division 2 this season. Bailey in. Mead checks his drive up to mid-off, no run. Got a new head coach there now. James Franklin's moved on. 100 for 1. As I said earlier, lunchtime I'll have a flick through the April edition of the Cricketer magazine, which I picked up this morning. This time it's defended, and we'll have a look this afternoon, see what the experts are making of Nottinghamshire's fortunes. Surrey and Hampshire maybe fancy for being amongst the stronger sides in Division 1. Although, as I said earlier, the cover says Lancashire are the team to beat. Don't know about that. Next ball guided behind square for a single. Certainly Keaton Jennings had a terrific season last year. Middlesex coming up with Notts, Northants towards the sides that you'd imagine will need to get some wins early doors to prevent them getting sucked into a bottom 4 battle. Has he nicked that? I think Joe Clark might well have nicked that one. They've thrown it skywards. Clark stayed there, and it's not going to be given. Might well have been a brush of the pad. I think had Joe knocked the skin off it, it'd have walked off. Certainly they heard something out there. There was something clearly audible, but neither batter nor umpire inclined to move. Still yet to score. Joe Clark faced 10 deliveries now. That's the next ball. Worked onto the leg side, no run. Sev66 has been in touch. Nice to hear from you. Dave, where do you think the focus will be this season? On the championship or the white ball? I think very firmly they'll be going for all three. There are now designated blocks, and Notts will mount a challenge at the appropriate time for each of the three competitions. Of course, more than likely, as in previous years, the Royal London One Day Cup in August, they'll be without a number of players due to the 100 competition. Might have more availability than in the last 2 years. The likes of Stephen Mullaney and Tom Moores and Luke Fletcher at this point certainly haven't been picked up for the 100. Calvin Harrison, not sure if he's been picked up or not. 101 for one. Here's the score. Hamid is on 34. Just got to do some I've got to do some technicals with my live stream, but it's just turned itself off. Well, I'll have to turn itself on again. You haven't used this for a long time. Do you wish to continue? Before I could reach for the remote, it had gone. I think it's still gone. 101 for one. Old-fashioned way we'll look out the window and see me defending. There we are, we've got it back. Chilly old day, but what do you expect end of March? I think we're just grateful that we've got some outdoor cricket. Just hope the forecasters have got it wrong for what's in store for the remainder of the week. Otherwise we might not get the full allocation. Lots of encouragement here for Max Luckett. The man of Kent, who, as I said earlier, has made one first-class appearance for Kent. Of course, are also in Division 1. This one into the pads of Hamid. Another side, Kent, I guess, that we're incapable of beating anybody else in the division, but also a side that will need to get some early wins on the board, you'd imagine. A real old scrap to avoid the bottom two. He has 34. Flex this away for his 35th run. 102 for one. Openers put 98 on before Ben Slater was dismissed in the 21st over. The 22nd over from the pavilion end. Bailey bowled him. Joe Clark still looking for his first run. Luckett bowls. Clark will pull this away over mid-wicket and away. 1-2 bounces and then it rolls over the rope and he's got a boundary. So Joe Clark up and running. That's 106 for one, Nottinghamshire. Winning the toss, opting to bat first against the students of Loughborough University, many of whom have at least had some experience in county second 11 cricket. As we said earlier, 2 or 3 of them have actually played a little bit of first class cricket as well, not much. Only wicket taken by Raymond Bailey. He's got good figures of 3 overs 1 for 4. He bowls down the leg side. That's Bruce the pad of Hamid. Some of the pace has gone out of it, so it won't go all the way over the rope. Couple of runs taken. 2 more on the extras column, which now has moved on to 16. 108 for 1. Bailey in to Hamid again. It may be, don't be at all surprised, because he's got 20 odd minutes to negotiate first, but it may well be that if we do see players who've already had some time in the middle, and I'm thinking here about Asib Hamid and maybe 1 or 2 retirements today. Did bat for a couple of hours against Derbyshire. If he bats through this session, let's cut this one into the offside, we'll get a single. But if he bats through till lunch, it may well be that they might retire him at lunch. Not a first class game, so they will want to utilise whatever resources they can, get as many people having some time in the middle as they can. 109 for 1. So Joe Clark with his first runs. About to face Bailey. Shorter boundary on the Smith-Cooper side of the ground has been peppered this morning. Rope's actually a long way in on the other side of the ground, the Fox Road side. Clark on cue, punches it again to the short boundary for his second 4 to double his tally on to 8, and it's 113 for 1 after 24 overs. Still just a whisker under 5 and over. Max Lockett with ball in hand to bowl the 25th over, and a nice flow of the bat. Lovely crisp sounding shot from Hamid, gets nothing for it as he drives it to cover. Lockett in again, and Hamid this time forces it a lot squarer than the previous one, gets a single. Next ball allowed to pass through to the wicketkeeper, Golston. Special occasion, of course, for several of the visitors' sides. Won't have played at Trent Bridge before. 114 for one, and inside edge there onto his pad by Clark. We'll know all about this place and its stature in world cricket. We'll listen to the head coach and to the 2 or 3 players that have actually gone out there and played a match here before. Always a great feeling to play on not only a first-class ground, but a test match ground. 114 for one. Look, it bowls, left alone by Joe Clark. Goes through to the keeper. We've had 25 overs as the noise continues from the building site, the new apartments just across the Bridgeford Road there. $114 for one. About a quarter of an hour to go until lunch. This is the start of the 26th over, and Hamid again forces it aggressively through the offside for 4 runs. And again, the ball just manages to lose itself in that tarpaulin that's been parked over there, and Ollie Meadows has to go and do a little bit of ferreting around before he locates it. 118 for one. Lead on 41. Bailey tied to line, and Hamid not getting carried away with himself, reaching the 40s, not looking to go bish bash bosh and race to his half century. Just continue in the same professional manner. Bailey to bowl to the Lions captain. So goes through to the keeper. A couple of Lions captains then in the Notts 11, because Stephen Mullaney had a spell back in 2018, 2019, captain in the England Lions. $118 for one. Bailey. Again, just trying to pop it in the channel outside the off stump, and Hamid not drawn into having a nibble at that one. There's a couple of very capable catchers there alongside the keeper. McGregor at first slip and Matthew Montgomery at second. Little bit of time back in South Africa in the autumn. Matthew Montgomery. Again, Hamid can't time this one properly, and Montgomery in fact does the fielding. Bailey to Hamid. It's a good line, and that's the end of the over. 118 for one, Nottinghamshire. They lost Ben Slater shortly after he'd reached his half century. A couple of sixes hit by Slater this morning. One pulled down to long leg for a moment. The fielder was interested, but he got enough on it to get it over the short boundary, and then He hit another one actually through the offside for 6, both again to that short fence. 6 fours as well in Slater's 50, and shortly after reaching the milestone he was bowled by Raymond Bailey. Score was on 98 then, so this pair have added 20, of which Joe Clarke's contribution is 2 boundaries. He's on strike now and will maybe get a couple of runs here to go into double figures. He does. $120 for 1. Four fielders on the leg side, and despite that, Clarke threads this one between mid-wicket and mid-on for another boundary. It was over-pitched on his pads, and he's not going to miss out on that sort of delivery very often. Nicely played by Joe Clarke, who at his best looks $1 million. He's just found himself to be a bit of a slow starter, a poor starter, but if you don't get him early he'll hurt you. He's on 14. Next one, the same area, and this time it is stopped. Good bit of work there at mid-wicket. Is that Priestley again, who's excelled this morning in the field? It is Niels Priestley. 3 or 4 occasions now he's thrown himself full length to prevent boundaries. All adds to the spirit and gladdens the heart of the bowler. This time short, and Clarke says, well, if I can't hit it for 4, I'm going to hit it out of the ground, and he's smashed that one way. Well, we've lost the fly to that, but I think they're going to need a replacement ball. It's gone over the William Clarke, and well, it's made a bolt for freedom out of the ground. Big 6 from Joe Clarke there. Half tracker. Souvenir for somebody. Not even entirely sure it's landed yet. It heaved away. And Luckett's figures just taking a turn for the worse in his 5th over. He's none for 30 right now. I mean, just gone for a 4 and a 6 in this over. Replacement ball has been found, fetched from the briefcase by umpire Middlebrook. Usually tend to feel a little different in the hand, a replacement ball. Let's see how this one comes out. In fact, Clarke just runs it into the offside. We'll get another single there. That's fielded by James Croney. Top order bat. Not mentioned him too many times this morning. He's in the cover region. Mead's been out there since 11 o'clock. He's just taken a fresh guard from Sue Redfern as Clarke pirouetted there, hitting that 6. He may well have just trodden down Mead's crease mark. He's run this into the offside. They'll only get a single. Mead on to 42. It's 132 for 1. He'll keep strike because it's the end of the over. We've had 27 overs on this chilly old March morning at Trent Bridge. Nottinghamshire opting to bat first and getting some time in the middle for their top order. Ben Slater making 53, Asiba Mead 42 not out, and Joe Clarke up and running on 21 not out. Probably time for 3 overs before the break. That would get us nicely to the 30 over mark. Bailey, the left armour, Middlesex born, comes in past umpire Middlebrook, bowls, and Hamid crunches it away square for 4 more. And right now Notts just seem to be going through the gears as we approach the interval. Flurry of runs over the last 2 or 3 overs. This partnership now up to 38 from 49 deliveries. And Hamid on to 46. Bailey to Clark, Bailey to Hamid, rather. Leaves this one alone, and it will be taken by the wicket-keeper Goldston. Encouragement for Bailey as he bowls, and Hamid will cut this away. I think it should be stopped, and is. So only a single to the Notts opener, moves to 47. On 37 for 1. Umpire Middlebrook just a little concerned with the line that Bailey's taking. He's in again. Clark hits this uppishly. Oh, and has that been put down? Did he get his hand to it on the full there, Priestley? Very, very nearly reached his left hand. Priestley again throwing himself to his left. It's one of those almost came to him on the half volley. Very, very close to carrying. Clark takes the single. It might just have been an abbreviated innings, and it just carried just that little bit further. 138 for 1. Next ball run away by Hamid for another single. So we're getting close to the luncheon interval. Hope you've enjoyed seeing the cricket pack on your live stream. Just a word, if you could remember, folks, at lunchtime they will stop the live stream. There won't be the continued pictures that you'd normally get during a county championship game, where you'd see people wander out to the middle and the ground staff, etc., as the next ball comes in and bowls. And Clark will take the single here, 140 for 1. They'll switch it off. It'll need refreshing when you switch it back on. If you can just remember to do that, folks. 140 for 1 is the score. Should be time for at least one more over. So the stream will shut down at lunchtime, and you'll have to refresh it when we come back for the start of the afternoon at 140. So just to mark your card there, folks. 140 for 1 it is then. 28 overs have been bowled so far. Joe Clark is on 23. Asib Hamid is on 48. Bowling change. Max Harris, who got things up and running from this Radcliffe Road end at the start of the morning, bowled 4 overs, none for 26. He's going to come back and get his allocation up to 5. Not bowled at Joe Clark before, so an opportunity here. Two slips, the close catches. Harris bowls, and Clark, well, a streaky inside edge past the stumps, gets him a single. Nice to hear from T, another of our regulars. Hi Dave, lovely to hear your dulcet tones back on my telly box again. Nice to see the Notts boys getting some runs. Have a great season, everybody, and to you, T. Lovely to hear from you, and glad you've got it working on the telly box. 141 for 1. So Mead not got too long left before the interval to get his half century. He's on 48. Harris bowls to him. Good delivery there over the shoulder of the bat. (16 extras so far in the innings. Hamid on 48. He'll put bat through ball here and get a boundary, and Hamid goes to his second pre-season half century. This one with a really solid square cut. Joe Clark goes down, shakes his hand, gets there from just a whisker under 2 hours. Asib Hamid faced 78 balls and hit 8 fours, and he'll be desperate not to do what Ben Slater did and get out straight after reaching a half century. Thoroughly professional knock once again from Asib Hamid. Quality player. He's behind this one and defends it. 145 for 1. I'll have to see if, provided he doesn't get out, if he's allowed to come back and continue after lunch, or they may look to get Lyndon James and Stephen Mullaney and Tom Moores and Liam Patterson-White some crease occupation this afternoon. 145 for 1. Here comes Harris to bowl to Hamid, who pulls this shortish delivery through mid-wicket, nonchalantly helps it away to move on to 56. 149 for 1. And with the scoreboard clock now showing us the digital numbers, that's a new addition to the board. We've not seen that in previous seasons. That's a 50 partnership, by the way, brought up with that shot. 51 from 59 balls for the second wicket. After Ben Slater was dismissed, we've got the time on the Batman board. 1300 it says, bottom left. Oh, and it's definitely going to be lunch now, because there's a false start as Harris came in and was just about in his delivery stride and then backed away or pulled out. I don't know if it's because he felt Hamid wasn't ready, or he lost his stride pattern, or there was some chatter out there, but he didn't bowl it. So he's going to do that now. It should be the last ball of the session, and Hamid will take Notts onto 150 for 1 with that little pushed run from 29 overs, and Hamid ends the session on 57 not out. Joe Clark 24 not out. Helicopter goes overhead, and that's the end of the morning session. A thoroughly satisfactory one as far as Notts and their pre-season preparations are concerned. Stephen Mullaney winning the toss, opted to bat first. The openers put 98 on, of which Ben Slater's contribution was 53 before he was bowled by Raymond Bailey. The only wicket for Loughborough this morning is 53 coming from 68 balls with 6 fours and 2 sixes. Joe Clark also hit a 6, and he reaches lunch on 24 not out alongside Asib Hamid, who ends the session 57 not out from, as he faced now, 81 deliveries. So at lunch, Notts are 150 for 1 in this pre-season friendly. Thanks very much for your company this morning, and love to hear from you throughout the day on the old Twittery thing, at Brace Cricket, if you want to get in touch. Remember, we'll be back at 1:40 for the afternoon session, but your live stream will need refreshing before you join us, so if you can just remember to do that, it will save you any angst whatsoever. Lunchtime at Trent Bridge, Nottinghamshire 150 for 1. We'll speak to you in a little while.